Hey, this is Chris Masse, Sun-Gazette sports staff. I've been given a forum here to have a weekly rant or rant whenever I feel like it. And if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook or just talk to me in general, you know I like to rant and complain a lot. My wife will tell you that too. So this week's topic, one, I think, judging by what I've seen on social media, is one that I think a lot of people will agree with me. It's James Franklin and Penn State. And as a Penn State alum, it's pretty frustrating watching the same movie. Like Journey says, the movie goes on and on and on. Franklin ain't it. I think we've learned that. If you're satisfied with, going 10-3 every year, or going 10-2, and playing in the Tostitos, Cheez-It, Toilet Bowl, whatever stupid meaningless bowl it is. If you're not in the playoffs, I really don't care what bowl game you're in. I don't care if it's the Rose Bowl. If it's not the playoffs, what are you playing for? Who cares? It's basically a glorified exhibition game. Bottom line is, Franklin has proven over and over and over and over again that he can't lead this team to big wins against the big dogs. Judging by which rankings you go by, I think in the AP, he's 3-17 against top 10 teams since 2016. Or no, in his whole career, without a win against the top 10 teams since 2016. I think if you go outside the AP, there's one that has him at 2-22. Either way, it's awful. It's a debacle when you're Penn State, when you have the resources they have. You should be able to squeeze out a win against Michigan or Ohio State here. And remember, Michigan wasn't the Michigan that they've been the last couple of years until 2 seasons ago. They had their own struggles, and Franklin still couldn't beat them then. I think, without it in front of me, I think he's 4-18 now against Michigan and Ohio State. He hasn't beaten Ohio State since 2016. And you look back, that game was a fluke. Ohio State was the better team. They were going to go up 9 points. Field goal was blocked by Penn State. They scored, and they caught lightning in a bottle after that. But flash forward to a year later, Penn State had a better team than Ohio State. They had Ohio State beaten Columbus. Franklin made some bad decisions. They ended up losing that game by a point. The next week, he didn't rally the troops. They kept their heads buried in the sand. They lost another one that they shouldn't have lost to Michigan State. And the best team that he had there in 2017 with Saquon Barkley ended up not in the playoffs. Hopes were high again this year after they went 11-2 last year. Spoiler alert, those 2 losses last year were Michigan and Ohio State. The Michigan game was pathetic, but I digress. This was supposed to be the year, and if you were ever going to get Michigan and Ohio State, this was the year. Ohio State, they're undefeated, but they're not the juggernaut they have been. Marvin Harrison, I think, is the best player in the country. I think he's the Heisman front runner, even though he's not a quarterback. And the idiot Heisman voters seem to think you have to be a quarterback to win the Heisman. There are other positions out there, but that's really all they have. They're not as explosive as they have been. They were susceptible to be beaten, and he couldn't do it. Bad decisions in that game, bad game management. Michigan literally didn't have a coach. He got out-coached on Saturday by a team without a coach. Think about that. It went down Friday night. Jim Harbaugh suspended. The guy comes in. He's never been a head coach before, and he gets out-coached. It's pathetic. And stupid decisions in the game, too. They got momentum going before the half. It was 17-9. Kicked the extra point. It's 17-10. For whatever reason, and I shove this analytics stuff where the sun don't shine. I'm sick of analytics. All it does is cost teams points. He goes for 2 unwisely. They don't get it. Now you're down 8 points. I know it's 1 point, but it changes things. Flash forward, it's 24-15 after Penn State scores late in the game. Well, before that, let's back up. The defense is still playing pretty good. There's 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. It's a 2-possession game, but it was 17-9 still at this point. 4th and 6 at your own 30. Just punt. I know your offense stinks. It's frustrating. Your offense stinks because you're a big part of it. But let your defense get the ball back, play the field position game. He goes for it on 4th and 6 from his own 30-yard line. They don't get it. Michigan scores the next play, 24-9. Looks like it's over, but Penn State comes down, they score a touchdown, 24-15. Again, the nerds and the analytics, and they'll say, oh, you should go for 2 here. No. Kick the extra point. It's 24-16. It's a one-score game. There's still hope that you can come back and tie the game and force overtime, but he went for 2. They didn't get it. The game's over there. Just stupid stuff like that. It happens all the time. He fires the offense coordinator. He's a scapegoat. It's never James Franklin's fault. Just ask him; he'll tell you. It's the offense coordinator. He'll cry about the facilities, which is amazing. James Franklin crying about lack of facilities and whatever at Penn State. It's a gold mine there. He's got beautiful facilities. It's the NILs. It's whatever. It's not Franklin. He cried to the media 2 weeks ago when they beat Maryland. He forgot that the media is not the sports information department and it is not their job. It's not our job in the media to kiss his backside. And he was crying about that. And then he's feeling the heat now and he's making excuses again. It's just got to stop. It's clear he's not the guy. I know the playoff field expands next year to 12 teams. So you think to yourself, oh, Penn State should be able to get in 12 teams. The Big Ten's expanding too. Now USC, Washington, Oregon, all these teams, UCLA. It ain't just going to be Michigan and Ohio State now. He's going to be facing a lot of top 10 teams every season. Some years he's not going to play Michigan and Ohio State, but now he's going to have to beat Washington or Oregon. The track record shows it ain't happening. So now the normal might be 10-3 right now. You add all these Big Ten, all these Pac-10 teams coming in. It's going to be 7-5 and 6-6 based on what Franklin's done here. And going back to the offense, he can fire the offense coordinator. He's done that a lot here. He's the common denominator. He ruins quarterback. Look at Drew Aller. We thought he was going to be a stud. Maybe he would be. Look at what James Franklin's done to him. He looks like a broken quarterback. Will Levis, he couldn't even play the field much, and when he did, he didn't look great with James Franklin as his coach. He transfers to Kentucky. All of a sudden, he's a top 10 draft pick, and now he's starting for the Tennessee Titans as a rookie and playing pretty well. It makes you wonder how good Sean Clifford was. Penn State fans complain about him a lot. Man, that guy's a backup for the Green Bay Packers right now. It makes you think if he had a real coach, he might have been a Heisman guy with Franklin's track record with quarterbacks. Look at Christian Hackenberg. That dude was projected to be a top 5 pick. Bill O'Brien leaves. James Franklin comes in. Christian Hackenberg, he went in the toilet. And then the Jets, being the Jets, drafted him in the 2nd round. And even the Jets, when they won like one game the following season, even they wouldn't play Christian Hackenberg. That is how badly James Franklin broke him. And now he's doing the same thing to Drew Aller. So long story short, James Franklin ain't it. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a terrible coach. I mean, they have won. They've been a perennial top 10 team. When I say top 10, I mean like number 10 or number 9. They're not cracking the top 5. But, you should want more than that. And what he looks to me as, he's a guy that if the talent's level, or not even level, if it's level, he's in trouble. When he has a clear talent advantage, he'll get the wins. He will lead Penn State to victory. When it's even, or when he's at a slight disadvantage, no way. He's going to get outcoached every time. He can't get Penn State over that hump. He's not the guy. I don't know why Penn State signed him to the huge deal that they did a few years ago. That was coming off a 7-5 season, which was coming off a 4-5 COVID shortened season. But he ain't it, folks. Some people can disagree, and I think people have in the past, but I think we're seeing the light now. It's if you want mediocrity moving forward when the Big Ten expansion, James Franklin's your guy. But if you want to get past Michigan, if you want to get past Ohio State, you got to look somewhere else. It ain't it. It's time to move on. We are getting rid of James Franklin. We'll see you next time.